What is up, good people? Crypto Prepper here. Today's Monday, April 27th, 2026. Today we're looking at a fear and greed index of 42. It's about the same as it was last week. Bitcoin's price is 76,700. So 76,700. And today we are going to find the best Zcash trading bot for 2026. So this one is quite a bit more interesting than the last few that we've done because it's been such a crazy ride. So it has went up like 2,500% from a year ago at its high here. And then, currently, if you were had bought a year ago and are still holding, you're up 887%. So if you did that, congratulations. You got more balls of steel than I do. So, anyway, to find the best Zcash trading bot for 2026, I start out by looking at the grid bot. But because this chart is so crazy, it wouldn't let me move this low price down to where I would have set the grid a year ago. So there's no sense into doing it. There's no reason I would have set a grid a year ago to only start selling at 90 bucks because it was only like 30 or 40 bucks at that time. So I'm not going to get my baseline from my grid bot like I've been doing the past couple of videos. And so we'll move on to the dollar cost average bot. So the first one I ran here, and we'll go over the settings here in a second, it got a 66.5% APY. And yeah, you can see here I did my measurement from basically the price a year ago to its high was 2,500%. So I wasn't able to do that math in my head. I used a tool. So you can see here, I got a lot of activity. I got a great return. It's probably the best one that we've had uh, since I started finding the best bots for 2026 on these individual coins. And we have the continuation, like I like to see. So this bot, you started with 1,000 here. You know how have $1,000 continuing to work for you in the bot, plus $665 in your USDC wallet on Coinbase. So let's go through these settings real quick, and we'll show you the initial investment is 1,000. Under our bot settings, our base order amount is 31.25, 968.75 being our averaging orders amount. This time, the averaging order step percent is 8%, with our averaging orders quantity being 5, as always. Our amount multiplier slid over to the X2, and our take profit at 5%. Our risk management pump dump protection is turned off, and I initially ran this back test with that on, and I was still impressed with the return, of course, because it was 58, 59. So you can see how big of a difference that pump turning off that pump dump protection can give you. So instead of only 59% APY, make sure you turn that off before you start your bot, and your return could have been 66.5% APY. Okay, so let's move on to an even more impressive one, with the only exception, and it's not a big deal, is this one had this gap here between November 30th and December 27th. So you went a whole month without seeing, you were fully vested here and you were just basically in it for the long run. So a month, that's not really that long when you think about it. And then it was able to pop up and take profit and continue on. So we have an even better return, 107.48% APY. And we have the continuation. So the spot still has $1,000 that it's working with for you, and it has given you $1,000 and $1,074.78 in your USDC wallet. So yes, it's not as good as buying $1,000 here, and now you would have $8,000. But most people haven't done that. That's not something that most people do. They would have sold on the way up here, maybe, or hopefully sold the top, but it's hard to do that. So we won't get into the woulda, shoulda, coulda game. That is not a winning game for anyone. So let's go through these settings to see how we would have got that 107% APY. So we have our initial investment of 1,000 as always, 31.25 here, 968.75 here. We stayed with the averaging orders quantity at 5. This time the averaging order step percent was 6. And then our X or our amount multiplier is slid over to X2 and our step multiplier is off. Our price change percent for take profit is 5 as before, and our pump dump protection is toggled off. You can see I didn't change anything on those settings. We'll just verify 107.48% APY. And you got the continuation, which is the second thing I like to see. The third thing I look for is the activity. So to go from November to December without seeing any action, not a huge deal when you have this kind of return. So let's look at, this is the, when I first start looking at bots, and I'll set up a 5, 5, and 5. So instead of the 6% difference in between orders, it's a 5% order difference. So we'll go through the settings here, but those, I'll call them my standard settings, 5, 5, and 5, would have only got you 116%. So you basically had started with 1,000 here. Now you have, well, you're not down too much actually. So if you were to have set up this bot just using my standard 5, 5, and 5, your DCA would have been right about here. And then, so now you're down 17%. So you still have, $830 worth of Zcash if you were to sell it at that point. But you also have $1,161 in your USDC wallet. And you've had that in there since January 7th. Okay, so you can see here the settings starting out with $1,000 investment, 31.25 here, 968.75, and here's the 5, 5, and under take profit 5. Just make sure my pump dump protection is off. Yep. So these are my standard settings. So it looks like the best bot settings so far for 2026 have been the 5, 6, and 5. So the difference is changing this distance between these limit orders. And that is allowing for a pretty damn good return. Maybe not as good as my standard settings, but the second thing that I hold in high regard is once I've ran this back test, if I see this continuation, then that makes me real happy because I have this bot running and still producing income and rocking and rolling for you. All right. So, like I said, this was an interesting one. I don't know if it's going to repeat that. I doubt it, but well, only time will tell, right? So, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel. And if you have a favorite coin, leave it for me in the comments and I'll run some bots for you. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.